I am standing in the portico to the great St. Paul's Basilica outside the walls of Rome. It's a very short way from Tre Fontane, where St. Paul met his executioners and stepped into glory. This basilica honoring the great saint is impressive indeed. Atop the front of the portico is a statue of St. Paul holding his books and his shackles. The shackles are not binding him, they are held in his hands and are open, reminiscent of 2 Timothy, where he writes that the Word of God cannot be chained. The portico is 77 yards long and has 150 columns. On entering the portico, the visitor's eyes are immediately drawn to a striking statue of St. Paul. St. Paul holds his sword, the instrument of his martyrdom, and his books, his inspired writings. The sword is pointing heavenward and draws the visitor's attention to the facade of the church, which at its pinnacle has an image of Jesus, flanked by the pictures of Peter and Paul. Beneath them is the image of the mystical Lamb, surrounded by rivers symbolizing the 4 Gospels and by 12 more lambs representing the apostles. The lower section shows the Old Testament prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. In the forward right-hand corner of the portico is a statue of St. Luke, Paul's beloved traveling companion, physician, and writer of one of the 4 Gospels and the Acts of the Apostles. Placed in a niche in the facade of the church is another statue of St. Paul, looking intensely downward on the pilgrims arriving at the basilica. In another nearby niche is a statue of St. Peter, clinging to the keys and reaching down towards the pilgrims as if to give them a hand to lift them up. The front of the basilica has 3 doors. The door on the far right is the holy door, which is opened only during Jubilee years. Its illustrations have as their theme the Trinity. At the foot of the door is a Latin phrase wishing all who enter the basilica peace and eternal salvation. The center door of the basilica depicts the major events in the lives of Saints Peter and St. Paul. The door on the extreme left repeats the notions of Peter and Paul and their mutual lives of service to the gospel, and was commissioned for the year of Paul, marking the 2000th anniversary of Paul's birth. Besides the entrance portico, the basilica has another outstanding outdoor feature, a beautiful cloister dating back to the Middle Ages. It has double columns of different shapes. Some columns have inlays with golden and colored glass mosaics. Also visible are pieces of ancient sarcophagi with scenes of the myth of Apollo. Inside the basilica, the pilgrim will find 1 large nave and 4 aisles. It is 144 yards long, 72 yards wide, 32 yards high. The 80 columns of the nave are from the 19th century, as well as the stucco-decorated ceiling. The interior and walls are decorated with images from the life of St. Paul and portraits of the popes from Peter until today. The 5th century mosaics in the triumphal arch were done at the time of Leo I. At the right and left of the arch are portrayed St. Peter and St. Paul, the latter pointing downwards, probably towards his tomb. According to ancient tradition, Paul was buried on this spot in a cemetery owned by a Christian woman named Lucina. Excavations conducted beneath the altar of the basilica from 2002 to 2006 confirmed the discovery of a large ancient sarcophagus. It bears the Latin inscription Paulo Apostolo Mart, Paul, Apostle and Martyr. In June 2009, Pope Benedict XVI announced that carbon-14 dating of bone fragments in the sarcophagus confirmed a date in the 1st or 2nd century. At the end of the Pauline year, Pope Benedict announced, quote, "This seems to confirm the unanimous and uncontested tradition that they are the mortal remains of the Apostle Paul." The Acts of the Apostles tell us that this great apostle was the source of many miracles. I hope you find the miracles you need in your life, and that you yourself will become a miracle for all those you know and love. God be with you on your journey.